This is ridiculous. This is ridiculous. The Supreme Court just ruled against Donald Trump on the tariffs. Unbelievable. There's more people in this country that is either blackmailed or just 100% anti-American. This is unreal. The amount of sheer people that are against our president and attacking our president each and every day in our country. This is a disgrace. And when they say the military is the only way, I'm starting to believe it. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. I got a couple clips here. The president hasn't came out yet. This is just a couple news clips, and we'll be brief. And here we go. Let's get right into it.
There are other issues involved. There are many different decisions from all of the justices. This is a deeply divided issue. They're not agreeing with all of the reasons why. But the bottom line, it is at 6-3 with two of President Trump's appointees, Justice Amy Coney Barrett and Justice Neil Gorsuch, joining the Chief Justice John Roberts and the three liberal justices to invalidate the use of these sweeping tariffs. There are three dissenters, led by another appointee.
And just remember, John Roberts allegedly was at Jeffrey Epstein Island with Bill Clinton. There's pictures all over the web, allegedly.
Justice Brett Kavanaugh, joined by Justice Samuel Alito and Clarence Thomas. But the bottom line, Tony, a major defeat for the president. I think you can put that right up there with some of the most significant Supreme Court losses by a U.S. president in history.
All right, Jan.
One thing, though. You think Donald Trump doesn't have a plan for this? You don't think Donald Trump don't have a plan for this? The left is probably just jumping and joking. Hey, this is amazing. This is amazing. But folks, you got to understand, if you don't understand Donald Trump by now, he already has something up his sleeve. You think he's going to follow this? I'll be surprised. But later today, I'm sure he'll have a news conference.
Thank you very much. Let's go to CBS News legal analyst Jessica Levinson, who's also reading this decision with us this morning. We knew this was going to be a nuanced legal case, and indeed it was. What were the big questions and how were they decided?
So the big question, exactly as Jan said, is whether or not the president has the power to impose these sweeping tariffs under this particular law. It looks like a lengthy, divided, and complicated opinion, but the bottom line is exactly what Jan said, which is the president does not have the power under this particular statute. Why? Because of the text of the statute and because of the power that the Constitution gives to the president versus Congress. It looks like, based on our quick reading, that this is all about the idea that the Constitution gives Congress the power to regulate commerce, that the Constitution gives Congress the power to impose taxes, and that when we look at this particular statute, that it does not look like a delegation of Congress's authority. Like, we have the power under the Constitution. Are we now going to ship that over to you, the president? And today the court says no. Obviously, it's a case with huge implications in terms of the economy, in terms of the power of any president. But based on our reading right now, it looks like this is all about looking at specific words like regulate and determining what that means for the power of any president, again, under this particular statute.
And yet so much money has already been outlaid, in particular by Americans, to deal with these tariffs. So I want to give our legal team a little bit more time to go through this decision and look at the potential remedies, what's been decided here. But in the meantime, I want to bring in our senior White House and political correspondent, Ed O'Keefe, because, Ed, as Jan outlined, this is obviously a major defeat for the White House on one of its key economic policy agendas. What now?
And not only the economic agenda, but arguably the foreign policy agenda as well, Tony, because the hope here at the White House at times was to be able to use the threat of tariffs as a sort of a coercive tool to get their way with certain countries or certain parts of the world, most especially Europe in recent weeks. We have no reaction yet from the president, who is at this hour still meeting, we believe, behind closed doors here at the White House with a collection of the nation's governors who happen to be here in town this weekend for their annual meetings in Washington. The president has said, though, in recent weeks that were this to happen and the Supreme Court does not uphold his tariffs, quote, we're screwed. It would take many years to figure out what number we're talking about and even who, when, and where to pay back. The Trump administration's collected at least $130 billion in tariff revenue, according to U.S. Customs and Border Protection reports out in recent days. And there will be businesses across this country now wondering, do I get my money back, and do I get it back with interest? More than 100 different companies of all sizes had filed suit, raising questions about the legality of these tariffs. And the question now will be, does he perhaps try to seek tariffs or put them in place in other ways? There are ways, in fact, he could do that. We've seen him, for example, put tariffs on various sectors of the economy, like the semiconductor and manufacturing equipment that goes with them, medium and heavy-duty trucks and parts, critical minerals, pharmaceuticals. Does he perhaps pursue ways to go into those specific sectors, depending on what part of the world they happen to be produced in, if not here in the United States? The other thing he could try to do is use essentially national security rationale to put in place some tariffs as well. But again, no definitive response yet from this White House, which had to know for the last several weeks, if not several months since this was argued, that this was a possibility. And we should also point out the court now, in essence, is aligning itself with public opinion, which has found this to be an incredibly unpopular move to put these tariffs in place.
I don't care what this TV says. Those tariffs helped America. Joe Biden and the Democrats crushed this damn country. It's unbelievable to me that there's so many people against America, and Trump's trying to bring it back. It's disgraceful. It's totally disgraceful. Anti-America. That's what we've been teaching our kids for the last 6 years, probably. Disgusting.
We have a breaking news alert for you. It's finally here. The Supreme Court has made a decision on President Trump's tariffs. This is a huge case, a big ruling. It comes right before the State of the Union. And Shannon Bream, of course, is standing by with us. Shannon, do we have an initial thought on what the ruling is?
We do. We've got a very fractured opinion, but initially what it says, we know it's authored, the primary opinion, by the Chief Justice, and says essentially that this IEEPA, this law that grants the president emergency powers, did not, it looks like by this first blush reading by Justice, the Chief Justice here, does not give him the power to levy these tariffs that he's levied. Part of this initial opinion says, the words regulate and importation, the president says that gives him the independent power to impose tariffs on imports from any country, any product, any rate, any time. These words, it says, cannot bear such weight. We know we've got a dissent by Justice Kavanaugh, by Thomas and Alito, it looks like. And those were the three we thought during the arguments, if anyone would be persuaded to allow the president to move forward with these tariffs, they would be the ones to do it. So at first blush, like I said, there are multiple parts and concurrences to this opinion, but it looks like what the primary holding is going to be is that these tariffs cannot be used in the way that the president had tried to use them. Let me get you to the closing paragraph that we have in this initial opinion here. It says, the president asserts the extraordinary power to unilaterally impose tariffs of unlimited amount, duration, and scope. In light of the breadth, history, and constitutional context of that asserted authority, he must identify clear congressional authorization to exercise it, meaning if he wants to do it, he's got to show that Congress has allowed him to do it. But they say IEEPA, this emergency powers law, contains no reference to tariffs or duties. The government points to no statute in which Congress used the word regulate to authorize taxation. And until now, no president has ever read IEEPA to confer such powers. We claim no special competence in matters of economics or foreign affairs, but we claim only, as we must, the limited role assigned to us by Article 3 of the Constitution. Fulfilling that role, we hold that IEEPA does not authorize the president to impose tariffs. We'll keep reading. That is the first blush, authored by the Chief Justice John Roberts.
Shannon Bream, thank you.
I think it's just unbelievable. I think I get worked up. I get worked up quite a bit, like every normal American. But I see things a little bit different. I think Trump already knew that the Supreme Court justices were going to go against him. I know Amy Coney Barrett. I've had my doubts about her for a long time. She has a lot of kids, if you know what I mean, with the Epstein files and stuff like that. That's just my my thought on that. She has a lot of different children. I'm not sure exactly how that goes. I haven't heard, but this is my thought is Trump already knew, President Trump already knew this was coming. This day was coming. You don't think he already has a plan. But ladies and gentlemen, mark my words, in a couple days, we'll still have tariffs on other countries. I'm pretty sure. We'll see what Trump says later today. And we are going to go live with Donald Trump, President Trump. And we're going to go ahead and cut it right there. And I just want to say thanks to all my subscribers that are coming on board. My dad, Jim Young, for checking out my channel every day. And we'll see you guys in the next episode. Thank you so much, guys. We'll see you next one.